When you come to the United States of America, you can be easily jailed. A slight mistake can take you to jail. So, hi good people, welcome to my channel. And if you're new here, I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Naomi and I'm an immigrant from Kenya. I live in the United States of America and I have been here for the past 2 years. So in today's video, I want us to talk about some of the things that make it so difficult for the immigrant to survive here in the United States. So without further ado, let's dive into the video. So point number 1 is the language barrier. So most of the countries don't speak English as their first language. So if you come from those countries and you're coming to the United States, and let's say, for example, in your country, you are not taught English, what do you do when you come here? The first few years will be a struggle for you because you have to study English, you have to learn how to speak English, you have to learn how to communicate with the people, and without communication, you cannot do anything. You cannot work if you cannot communicate in English because that is their language here. And also, even some countries like where I come from, we speak the British English. And now coming to the United States of America, they have the American accent, of which, yes, it's been 2 years, but still, I'm still speaking my language, my Kenyan language. And I'm not worried. I'm just taking my time. Anyway, so language barrier becomes one of the biggest problems that immigrants face. But with time, you get used to the system and you start speaking like the Americans. So we just give it time. Point number 2. Here in the US, you can be easily taken to jail. Yes, I know that one happens everywhere, but here, not only criminals live in jail, even a sober person, even an innocent person can find themselves in jail for just a slight mistake. Let's say, for example, you are a parent, you're a parent, and you want to go to work, and maybe the person who takes care of your kids when you're away has not arrived yet, and then you decide to leave them in the house and go to work as they wait for their nanny or their daddy, whoever is supposed to take care of them. If your neighbors realizes that you're leaving your kids alone, they're gonna report you to the police, and the next thing, your kids will be taken to child custody, and you'll be filed a case of child negligence. So if you have a minor here in the US, it's either you choose to take them to daycare, you employ a nanny, or you decide to be a housewife, or you decide to stay at home completely up until your kids are grown. So it is always a hassle for parents. You don't know what is going to happen next. You don't know when they're going to get you. So you have to be always on the lookout. Make sure your kids are safe. Make sure that there is an adult. And that is one of the biggest challenges. So most people decide to go back to their countries because there is freedom. You can leave your children and go to work. You can also tell your neighbor to check on your kids after some time, or you take them to your neighbors. And even in your countries, you have your families, you have your friends. So it is better there than here when it comes to kids. Point number 3. When you come to the US, let's say you had your career back in your country, they don't recognize your papers. That is one of the biggest challenges, because you can imagine you've done master's, PhD, and still nobody recognizes your papers. You have to start afresh. That is a big problem. Most of the people decide to give up because nobody likes books. That is for sure. And if you are told to go back to studying again, and maybe you are you're elderly, then you decide to go for the least paying jobs, and you have to hustle to earn a living with that kind of a job. And other people decides, why am I even struggling in the US when I can become a doctor in my country? So they decide to go back home and pursue their careers because it is easier there. Point number 4, the food. Here in the US, the food is good, yes, but most of the foods are not organic. Yes, there are organic foods and the artificial ones, but most of them, they are not organic. And if they are organic, they are way too expensive. So you find that people cannot afford them. They go for the cheaper one, and they're not healthy. So the moment you get used to these cheap foods, you'll like them a lot, and you start overfeeding yourself. And we're also used to the spices that we use in our countries. I don't know if you do in your country, but in our country, we put some spices in food. And now coming to the US, those spices are not the same. You go to the stores, yes, the names are the same, but the taste is different. And if you get the specific spice that you're looking for that has been imported to the country from where you come from, it is very expensive. So you cannot just buy anything you want. You have to budget for it. You have to make sure that you can easily survive without it before buying it. That's how we survive. Point number 5 is loneliness. This happens mostly to people who have no relatives in the US. You've come to a new country, you are new, you don't know anyone, you're supposed to go to work, you're supposed to rent a house, you're supposed to do everything, but you don't know anyone. You also don't have a car, you're supposed to move. What do? You'll be stressed up, and because now the people back in your country, they know you went to the land of honey, they will never understand that you're going through stress and some problems because you're already in their dreamland. So they expect you to be doing okay. They will never understand. So you can be depressed because of that, because the people who you're sharing your problems with, they don't understand what you're going through because they have never been in the same situation as you are. And also, the time difference also contributes to this loneliness, because when you're surviving on your first days, you're communicating with the people back in your country, and those are the only people who can keep you busy. But by the time it's 2 o'clock in the US, maybe a place like Kenya, they are going to sleep. They will wake up later at night when you're also going to bed. So that cycle of they're waking up, you're going to bed, most of the times you will not be able to communicate with them. And so you'll be lonely. You have no friends. And now the people that you know, you're not on the same time zone. So it's hard to make even the calls. And point number 6, and the last one, when you come to the US with visitation visa, and let's say you never went back to your country and at some point your visa expired, you will live in fear. When you see the police cars around, you're always scared because you don't know what you did wrong and what is going to happen next. You're always in the fear of being deported because you are not in the system and they don't recognize you. And if you're caught at any circumstance, you'll be deported directly back to your country. So you can imagine we're living with that fear for over 10 years or even more than 10 years, because I understand some have lived here for more than 10 years before they got their papers. So it is not easy. Anyway, we all survive here in the US. Yes, the problems are there, but we always find a way to survive. So if you're going through all these problems and you're finding it hard to survive here, please keep trying, because someday things will be better for all of us. So if you like this video, please add some more things that makes it so difficult in the comment section. And like this video, comment, and subscribe to my channel before you exit. Thank you so much for loving me. Thank you for loving my content. See you in my next one. Bye.